So yeah, let's have a look. So Len says, how do you install a mental sense of destiny like Alexander the Great? Which is, I saw this question, it's one of the first questions on there, which is really good. I think that, you know, a lot of those historical figures, like specifically like Alexander, they have this personality trait or something lodged in their psyche called grandiosity. And grandiosity is basically a trait or a character trait that makes you feel like you're better than everybody else, makes you feel like you're destined for greatness. And kind of reminds me of that Michael Jordan interview of like, why not? Why can't I be the best player in the league? I don't see why I can't do that. That's a quote from Michael Jordan when he was coming up and someone said to him, they were like, well, do you think you can be the best? And he was like, I don't see why not. And so like a lot of hyper successful people have grandiosity, and then pairing that with narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, you get this sort of perfect storm of dark triad traits that can give ascent to massive success. Now, the whole like narcissism thing, the psychopathy thing, the Machiavellian thing, like these are traits, and grandiosity, these are traits that are considered quite negative. And you definitely don't want to lean too far into them, because the last thing you want to do is become a Machiavellian, self-absorbed psychopath. However, when you look at someone like Alexander the Great, huge narcissist, like if you read him, huge narcissist, ridiculously grandiose, very, very, very Machiavellian, and very, very psychopathic. And, you know, when you look at lots of billionaires, when you look at Napoleon, when you look at Julius Caesar, when you look at any of the, you know, ancient world and the greatest people there, they had those things on lock. And so the first step to installing sort of a sense of destiny, like Alexander the Great did, is to develop that grandiosity and to actually convince yourself that you are better than everybody else. And a lot of people don't like doing that because they've spent their entire life silently judging people who have a lot of self-confidence. So yeah, you got to be careful, because you, like the realist, yeah, a little bit of ego narcissism in men is healthy. Yeah, 100%. It is healthy, man. Like, dude, anyone who, like, this is the thing, is to go after it and to think you can become a millionaire, like by believing you can do that, you have to immediately believe that you're more competent, or at least you will be more competent in the future than 99% of other people, which means that you've put yourself above everybody else in your mind. And there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. There's only something wrong with that when you become self-absorbed and you become this just dick, basically. But yeah, a lot of those billionaires, man, they have that shit. Like, you know, a lot of those conquerors, a lot of those kings, the princes, you know, the generals, like they've got those four things down to a T. And you want to try and like foster them in yourself, but also keep them under some level of control. Because again, this is kind of like, if you're a conqueror and you're a complete psychopath and all you do is just kill, like, you're fucked. So like Caesar, for example, when he was when he crossed the Rubicon and started the civil war for the basically ended the Roman Senate and started the dictatorship, or the, you know, the Caesarship, like, what happened is Caesar would basically, this dude was a psychopath, because he killed like 3 or 4 million tribesmen, right? He was responsible, his KD ratio was nuts, right? But when he crossed the Rubicon and started attacking Roman cities inside of Italy at the time, he was notorious for his clemency, which was basically a trait where you sort of are merciful and you let people live. And he even let people live. He'd beat like a Roman army, and then he'd let the generals go and flee to Pompey, who was his rival. And the reason he did that is because he kind of realized, like, oh, I actually need to, I'm going to need these people if I want to run this country down the line. He had to beat the same generals a couple of times over because he would let them go. He was clemency. So like whether it's like, you know, grandiosity, narcissism, you really have to learn to balance those things. You can't just, if you're just a, you know, psychopath and you kill everyone, then you're fucked. same thing with the grandiosity. Like you can have this sense of destiny and you can have this sort of like grandiosity about you, but that needs to be coupled and paired with this perception that you're never good enough.